Welcome to the podcast about investing in startups, where existing investors can learn how to get the best deal possible. And those that have never before invested in startups can learn the keys to success from the venture experts. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome back to The Full Ratchet. On today's special segment of Investor Stories, the investors address trends, sectors, and markets that they think are positioned for outsized returns in the future. This is the segment called What's Next? On today's special segment, we have Bobby Franklin of the NVCA. Bobby, can you talk about the future, any upcoming developments, and what you're most excited about?
You know, I think every time I get the opportunity to talk to our members, I get excited. I hear about, from our life science investors, I hear about how much progress they're making on drugs that will cure diseases that we didn't think were curable. I hear about tech investors that are helping solve real pain points that I experience or my family experiences and others. Even last night, there was one of our members tweeted about an investment they made that's going to disrupt the funeral industry. I mean, it literally, there's no part of, I think, our everyday life that, we can't find ways to improve, and being able to have what I think is a front row seat on these amazing entrepreneurs and what the ideas they come up with and the successful execution of creating companies and jobs and economic activity. I mean, it's a wonderful place to be. And I frankly just get excited every time I talk to any one of them.
You should start taking some carry instead of yearly dues.
I agree. I think that's a great idea. I'll put that up for consideration at the next board meeting.
On today's special segment, we have Steve Glickman of Develop Advisors. Steve, with regards to opportunity zones, can you talk about the future upcoming developments and what you're most excited about?
Well, I'm really excited, frankly, about seeing the creativity in the market beyond real estate. I mean, there are a number of different interesting real estate funds out there, but increasingly what gets my juices flowing are the idea of using this to solve all sorts of other problems as well. So the idea that this can fund renewable energy infrastructure around America is a totally achievable outcome. The fact that we can expand where high growth businesses are being created, the fact that more and more entrepreneurs are going to come back home to start businesses because they now have a way to market to investors in a way they didn't have before. I think it's seeing the market get more and more creative as this program gets easier and easier to understand and gets more common for investors and fund managers to utilize. So I very much view the program, with a 5 to 10 year lens, and I can see the developments happening even if the market hasn't fully caught up yet. But the speed at which you're seeing that transition into very interesting, for instance, business investment models, as opposed to just simply real estate models, is amazing. I mean, I'm talking to folks, who are trying to create electric car companies, who are trying to create film production studios in markets that, outside of Hollywood, that are looking to develop microgrids, that are funding charter schools and tech incubators for major research hospitals. And, it goes on and on and on, not to mention solving what may be the biggest crisis for many cities, but the lack of affordable housing. And the fact that this provides a vehicle to make the building of that housing at a reasonable rent much more viable, because you can accept returns that are lower than you might have been able to accept before. So I think this can solve a lot of big problems.
On today's special segment, we have Cheryl Cheng of Blue Run Ventures. Cheryl, can you talk about sectors or trends that you're bullish on?
Sure. So I'm still very bullish on digital health. Again, very hairy space, but there's a number of areas that I'm looking at still in that. Of course, we will never invest in a competitive company to something we already have in our portfolio, but I think there's still a lot of white space there. That's one. I do like real estate tech, similar to health, really big industry, lots of areas for disruption. I'm still developing a thesis around what are sort of the soft points in real estate tech that I would want to play in and meeting companies in that area. I have looked at, and all of us in our firm have looked at a number of things in ag tech. And this is a little bit of a blend for me between how do I find a big, venture scale business that can address some of the macro global problems that we will, as a human society, run into in probably the not so distant future. And so if there's technology that can exist that can ameliorate some of those problems, I would love to be a part of that. But, a lot of them are capital intensive. You're dealing with agriculture, people who don't adopt technology well or quickly. And so I'm a little bit wary of it, but I'm going to spend more time in it. And then we, as a firm, will always continue to look at things in fintech, through PayPal, through Freedom Pay, through Coupa, through Cabbage. We have this very consistent portfolio in fintech, and there's still a lot of opportunity there, both on the B2B side and on the B2C side. And so we will, I think that there's just more. And I think the type of fintech companies that we're going to see will be in the next, year or two are ones that can and will thrive even in a recession environment, or if there's a slowdown. And I think that's important in the fintech world, something that is not just when stocks are trading high or, when trading velocity is high, things like that. So.
That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.